good coach. I just don't think that he's paid his dues, like you mentioned, other people. And maybe I think that a head coaching job is hollowed ground, and you've got to cut your teeth and earn your way up the ladder. And I just don't feel like he's done that. We'll go over to you, Mo. I know you cover the Cleveland Browns, so you're very, very familiar with this hire. The Browns saw what worked and stuck with it. Certainly, Kitchens doesn't have a wealth of experience, but he is capable of building and working around Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield is the Cleveland Browns, and as goes Baker Mayfield, goes the Cleveland Browns. So I give it definitely an A or an A plus to the hire of Kitchens there with the Browns. What are your thoughts, Mo?
Well, I think the original thought was that, last weekend, the beginning of the week, that Greg Williams was going to stay the head coach. And then Freddie Kitchens was other teams that approached the Browns about interviewing Freddie Kitchens. The Browns declined, and I think at that point, I think they felt their hand was forced a little bit and made Freddie Kitchens the head coach. I think the plan was, though, to keep Greg Williams in place and Freddie Kitchens in place as the offensive coordinator. So I think that, once Kitchens was approached about some interviews and they had, not allowed him to do that, I think then at that point their hand was forced. I do like the fact that you do keep Freddie Kitchens there, who seems to get along well with Baker Mayfield, who helped him improve throughout the season. I think it was important to keep those two together, and that's what the Browns did by making Freddie Kitchens their head coach. I think it's, maybe not the best for that defense. Those defensive guys really like Greg Williams, and he's kind of an unlikable guy, but that defense and those defensive players seem to really like Greg Williams, and the defense that had done a lot for him this year as well. So I think that's a bad move for the Browns. The fact that he is on his way out now as the Jets defensive coordinator, but Freddie Kitchens, I think, was important for Baker Mayfield for him to keep those two together.
And let's talk a little bit about Bruce Arians. I mean, obviously we're familiar with him and what he was able to do with Andrew Luck and what he was able to do with Carson Palmer in Arizona. Now he's hired down at Tampa. He says he's all behind Jameis Winston. I'm kind of scratching my head on that. But what are your thoughts about Bruce Arians going to Tampa Bay? I think that's probably a very makes sense package. You get everything packaged. I know he hired the guy from the Jets to be the coordinator there. So Bruce Arians will be a good fit, and he'll continue to be able to play golf. But Bruce Arians to Tampa Bay.
Well, yeah, Bruce Arians is a real professional. You just hope that he has that stamina and that energy he can bring to the job. He has had some health issues, and you hope that they're behind him and he's able to attack this job the way he knows how, and that's head on. And I kind of like the hire. I mean, the Bucs have kind of been wandering in the wilderness here for years and years without much success, and now you're bringing in a veteran coach, someone who has proven to win at various different levels, at various different coaching titles. So I like the hire, and then they hired Byron Leftwich to be the offensive coordinator. I know he's pretty high on him, but we'll see how he does with Jameis Winston as the quarterback guy, because I guess they're going to stick with Winston and kind of see how he does. But, I like the hire. I think it was a good hire. I just hope that those health issues are behind him and, he's able to do the job 110% the way he's used to.
Well, apparently the Bucs think that can happen. I heard Bruce Arians on an interview with Dan Patrick today, and Dan Patrick goes, my sources tell me that Tampa Bay said before they would hire you would have to agree to a physical. And he goes, is that true? He goes, yes, that's true. He goes, so how'd that turn out? He goes, gave me a clean bill of health and said I've never been healthier. And apparently the Buccaneers like that, so they move forward with Bruce Arians. Mo, let's talk about this Broncos hire. I mean, I guess John Elway is kind of playing to his strengths here, but this is one where maybe I give a B grade, maybe a C grade. I mean, it's not a bad hire, but maybe they could have done a little bit better. I ask you this because you're very familiar with Vic Fangio, is that how you say it? But obviously he's the defensive coordinator that Chuck Pagano replaced there at Chicago. John Elway hires Vic Fangio as the head coach for the Denver Broncos. I think they could have done a little bit better, but maybe not. What are your thoughts?
Well, the curious thing for me with Vic Fangio is the fact that everybody else is going offense, and the Broncos, with the defensive coach, also would talk of them possibly moving on from their top defensive player. So I mean, the whole thing to me is curious. I think that they were finding a way to get Gary Kubiak back in the organization, which he will be as the offensive coordinator, who also has head coaching experience in the past. I'm not a huge fan of the hire yet, and maybe things will happen to change my mind. But when you talk about the fact that you can move on from your top defensive player and you bring in a defensive-minded head coach when everybody else is doing offense, it's a very copycat league. And I guess I just don't understand at this point what the hell John Elway is doing. But as far as defense goes, I mean, Vic Fangio obviously is a very successful defensive coach and has done wonders in different places now. So overall, as a coach, I think it's he's a class act and a good move. But I don't get what's going on in Denver.
Ed, I want to scratch my head with you again on another hire here, while we still got a few more minutes here before we got to go. The Dolphins plan to hire Patriots de facto defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Not so sure that's the smartest move. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Brian Flores. I mean, the Patriots are having a down year, and you look at you look at how Matt Patricia's doing in Detroit, another defensive hire from the Bill Belichick tree. And, I know it's only been 1 year, but it wasn't a very good year for Patricia. And, I agree. I don't know a lot about Flores to really render much of an opinion. I think it is a curious hire, though. But the most curious one to me, and maybe you'll get on it, is just the one that the Jets made in hiring Adam Gase. I mean, how does a guy have 2 losing seasons in Miami, get fired from there, and all of a sudden he's got another job? It just doesn't make sense to me what the Jets did.
Well, I've been scratching my head about the Jets for a long time. So I lost my notes here. I'm so sorry. Oh well. Anyway, I had another team there, but I lost my notes. But that's okay. All right, guys, let's drop quickly. Tell me, we won't do a thumbs up or thumbs down just because we don't want to pass any bad karma to anybody. But let's just go around here real quickly. What's the biggest upset and what's the biggest not so much surprise win over the weekend? Ed?
Oh, well, I picked against the Colts last weekend, so I'm not gonna pick them again. So I don't think that'll be the upset. Even though I think the Colts do have a chance, but I'm not going to jinx them and pick them this week because I kind of been picking against them. But I am rooting for the Colts. I love the way the Colts play. I love Frank Reich. I think the biggest upset, if you can call it that, I think the Cowboys go into into LA and beat the Rams.
Mo.
Well, I don't want to give the Eagles bad juju, even though I've picked them this week. I'm going to stay with that. I will also pick the Cowboys to upset the Rams.
I just want to throw some good karma. I'm not going to say anything against the Colts. So the Colts that's going to be a big upset against the Chiefs, maybe not an upset. But I'm going to tell you what I think is going to be the biggest upset, and that's the Chargers beat the Patriots at home. And I think we go out to L.A. next week. That's for sure. Guys, it's exciting. Isn't it, man? Here we are. Let's playoff time. Let's go. We are exactly 90 minutes away from local media picking up the pregame live from Kansas City. So, I'm going to be glued. I'm not going to start my bourbon that early. But, hey, it's going to be great. I just wanted to say that every time the Colts have won this year, I've had some bourbon. So just – there might be that connection there. I don't know.
Hey, if you believe it, it works. If you believe it, it works.
That's right. Well, even if they lose, the bourbon will help make the pain go away. That's for sure. So, Ed, where can people find your work and your masterpieces, sir?
You can hit me on Twitter at KRACZE or on footballmaven.io/Eagles.
All right, buddy. Let's go. Go Colts, go Eagles. We'll talk with you soon, sir.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Mo, what about you? Where can people find your work and your masterpieces, sir?
On Twitter at Mo Radio Show.
All right, buddy. Let's go Colts. Let's go Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Let's go Chargers. Let's go Cowboys. All right, buddy. We'll talk with you soon.
All right, thanks.
Great show today, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I know we went into overtime a little bit. So if you guys are listening to what you're hearing my voice now, you're listening to our podcast. So thank you so much for downloading the podcast. Just hit subscribe there, and whatever major outlet that you listen to, whether it's Apple iTunes podcasts or it's TuneIn or Stitcher. We are so glad you are with us. My name is Tom Marquis, El Presidente. We have to wrap it up and put a bow on it, guys. Colts win today 31-27 against the Kansas City Chiefs out in Kansas City. My name is Tom Marquis, El Presidente. It is going to be a good day. Go Colts!
Join us next week for The Balance. In the meantime, check us out on Twitter, T-Balance, or Facebook, The Balance, or online at www.thebalanceonline.com.